Okay, so we're at the home stretch. Thank you all again for being a part of this day, and hopefully you found some value in our discussions today. I have the distinct pleasure to introduce the Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Lyon, and he is a Vice Provost up at Baylor, has been with Baylor University since 1975, so very rich history. He was the dean when I was a student, and had the privilege of meeting him back then. I don't think he remembers me from back then, but he was in the role. Have certainly seen Baylor go through just tremendous growth, and just so many great things happening on campus. And again, as I mentioned this morning, we're so proud of this over 65-year relationship. So without further ado, Dean Lyon.
Thank you, Forrest. Forrest said how proud he was of the relationship. That goes both ways. Baylor and Waco could not be prouder of the relationship with this program. Speaking of pride, I mean, there's times when you're full of pride, when you feel so good about what you're doing, and that was just a few minutes ago for me, and I'll bet everyone in this room. When these students were standing and so poised and so professional and so ready, to make a major contribution, and you all played a role in that, and even indirectly, I feel like I played a role in that, and it makes me feel good. It makes me, yes, I like what I do. I'm proud. It gives meaning to what I'm doing. So, thank you for all that you do. Please know that you are much appreciated, not just by these students, but by all of Baylor University. 1951. I was around. Most of you were not. How did Forrest say it? Very senior or something when he was describing me. In 1951, we had won. Defeated the Germans, defeated the Japanese, the Italians. We weren't really ready for the war, but we won it. And then we weren't really ready for the peace. I mean, the medical demands at the end of World War II were considerable and needed to be met in a variety of ways. And one of them was this. U.S. Army, Baylor University, joined together to develop a professional academic program in healthcare administration to help us help the soldiers who had won the war for us, to bring a level of professionalization, standardization, efficiency to military health care. That was the first. We now have, depending exactly how you count, probably 8 Army-Baylor programs at the graduate level now here. But that was the first one. And it was the first one for a long time. It wasn't until about 20 years later that we added DPT. Well, it wasn't the DP then. It was a Master's of Physical Therapy. It later became the doctorate. And then in the 90s, we started adding them like every other year for a while. And we're still looking at adding some more. So the Baylor Army, the Baylor U.S. military connection gets stronger all the time. But you guys were the first, and still the largest. This business part right here is new. That was added, what year was that, Forrest? 2010, so 6 years ago. And there was considerable discussion before that and kind of a move in one direction. That didn't work. Back up and try another direction. Added a second degree to this program, the MBA. Probably about half the students do it. It's very challenging. We had some very honest and open talks about whether or not you could really do both. The healthcare administration degree is a full plate. How can you do an MBA on top, and can you or not? And I wasn't sure. I'm sure now, but it was a big step and a big decision for us. 2011, 2011 was our 60th anniversary. Dave and I were in Chicago for the celebration at the national meetings. 2011 was also the first year that this program made an entry into U.S. News and World Report. We had tried for a number of years to get it ranked, but well, it's not. It took a little work because of the unique nature of this. In 2011, this program was number 25 in the nation, and we were very excited about that. Top 25 program right out of the box, even been around for 50 years, 60 years, a top 25 program right out of the box. There we go. And I remember the Baylor healthcare folks that I was talking with and congratulating them on being number 25, saying, Dean Lyon, thank you, but we are much better than that. Well, you don't lack for confidence, I'll give you that. But, that was our first time when people know that we're eligible for voting, and people know we're gonna move up. 5 years later, they did the survey again, and number 25, Baylor Healthcare Administration, went to number 7. That's amazing, because the people between 25 and 7 are really good. You're not moving past the weak sisters of the poor here. You're moving past some of the finest educational institutions in the country. Number 7. And for years, I would say, you're the largest and the oldest program that we have in the Army-Baylor system. But, of course, there's another program that ranks higher than you that you're good to. You are now the highest ranking program in the Army-Baylor system. That number 7 is the highest of any of the ranked programs that we have. That's a remarkable accomplishment. And in a previous life, I was a sociologist before I spent most of my time being dean of the graduate school. And we ponder things like, how does a program move from 25 to 7? How does that happen? And in fact, at one point, I charged Dr. Mangelsdorf with trying to come up with some data that could help me understand what's happening. What it probably comes down to, I think, based on the data that Dave had and my own observation, is the esprit de corps in this program, which it exists elsewhere, but nothing like it does here. That is the willingness to help one another, the identifying with one another, the identifying with this program, the loyalty to this program is unprecedented, and it makes a difference. The emphasis on leadership. Yes, your graduates are here to serve, but they also want to serve through leading, and that makes a difference as well. Again, at least among the Baylor group of programs, this has much more emphasis on leadership than the other Army-Baylor programs. And then, finally, it's the folks in this room. It's the faculty who, a few years ago, we were told by our accrediting agency we have to have measurable learning outcomes. I spent a year trying to convince my folks in Waco that they had to do this and explain why it was a good idea. We went back. I even had to write a column and send it out to the campus newspaper, and then people commented on the column. Finally, so I come, guys, we have to do learning outcomes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, what? Yes, sir, when? Well, okay, now I guess. Yes, sir. These guys work. And they work hard, and they work well, and they care. And I'm not saying other faculty don't, but there is a can-do professionalism that reflects military values that is part of the success of this place. The other part, and it's also in this room, are our preceptors. many of you are graduates of this program. And because of that esprit de corps, are giving back. You're giving of your time, your expertise, you're mentoring, you're helping people who are like yourself not that long ago. And again, I'm not saying that other people at other programs wouldn't do that, but you've built it in a way that makes it so easy, so efficient for preceptors to help. I would have asked that same question. So your didactic part, what did you learn that helps you when you, and the answers are all over the place, although I would say that many times students learn more than they know that they've learned, and sometimes it'll take many, many years to really understand all that they've learned. But it's pretty clear to me that at least early on, the graduates believe that their residencies, the relationships that they have with you, were the most important parts of their program. And so you simply can't be valued enough what you contribute to this number 7 in the country ranked program. In my world, we all, oh, the U.S. News Report, it's just it's a big deal. It really is. And even those schools that put it down will still brag about it every time they go up in the rankings. And for this program to now be our highest ranked program, to be number 7 is just great. One thing you might not know, and I'll share this with you in closing, is the increasingly close relationship between these faculty and the faculty that we have at Baylor. The reason for that is about 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, we started a healthcare administration track within our MBA. It has exceeded far beyond our expectations, and the reason for that is we hired Army-Baylor graduates to run the program. And they tied right into the network of Army-Baylor graduates to find preceptors. I mean, the hardest part of starting up these programs is finding placements for your students. Some programs we weren't going to do that. But you know how important it is, and we knew how important it was. And you were the secret to our success. By the way, just a little, the healthcare track of the MBA program is rated number 17. And they were kind of, oh, that's not that good. And I said, hey, that's great. 5 years ago, the Army-Baylor program was 25. You guys are doing great. You're going to move up too. It's okay. Well, the reason they were able to start out at 17 is in this room. You know, it's because of the success that you have, the reputation that you've built, the connections that we were able to piggyback on. And now, Forrest and his faculty are working with the faculty there on joint research projects. It'll help us, it'll help you, it'll help all of Baylor more broadly. This relationship is much more than contractual. It's not, if you read through all the legalese, it's basically the Army gives Baylor money, Baylor gives your students a diploma. This is much more than that. It means much more than that to us, and I know many of you well enough to know it means much more than that to you as well. And it seems to me, if you think of all the good things that have happened to this program and all the good things that have happened to our program in Waco, this is a textbook of working together, a perfect example of how you can put two strong different things together and come up with something even better, something that benefits both. So it's with great pleasure that I take this opportunity to thank everybody in this room for the great job that you do for Army-Baylor and for Baylor University. Thank you.
Dean Lyon, thank you so much for those kind and generous words, and always for your great leadership. I really do feel like we have flourished as a program in large part to your leadership and the leadership of your team up on main campus. I want to conclude with just a few comments. Just want to say that we as faculty, Lorena has taken some good notes. We've got some homework, and we realize that as a program, there are certain things that we want to do to enhance the relationship with our faculty in the field during that residency year. I think as just a very quick takeaway, at a very minimum, I'm going to ask all our advisors to provide the formal feedback from the portfolio projects back to the preceptors. I think that at a very minimum we can do that, and that's kind of an easy, quick win for I think all of us in the room. I want to just do something very quickly. Can I ask Misha, can you come up very quickly? And Lorena, can I ask you to come up very quickly? So Misha has been the residency chair for the past, it's been 3 years now?
Yeah, 2.5, 3 years.
2.5, 3 years. Really has built upon a great legacy of former chairs in the program. He has transitioned within the past couple of months to now being deputy director of the MBA portion. We have passed on the residency responsibilities. So just as a very small token of thanks, I just want to give you one of our Army-Baylor coins. So thank you for all your work.
Thanks for your leadership and support.
And Lorena, can you go ahead and come up as well? So again, we can't be happier to really have Lorena as a part of our team now. You can already tell, right, that just from this day that she is just a fabulous addition to our team and just adds so much. She's already jumped in and taken care of orientation, although I don't think she's going to do that again.
I'll do it.
To do orientation and Preceptor, the Preceptor conference the same week. But thank you so much for all that you've done. And so again, as a very small act of appreciation, we'll give you one of our coins. So thank you so much. So let me just begin, by the way, I started just by saying thank you so much for what you do. We did for the first time we had the enlightening rounds that we were trying, and I literally had goosebumps as you all were sharing, because it was just so cool to know that our residents are in such good hands at such great sites. We always say that our students are our credentials, and I think you will see that in spades tomorrow. But our preceptors are our credentials as well, and the work that you do out there, you're just doing phenomenal work, and just to have our students have those opportunities is just wonderful. So thank you.